Hey guys, my name is Gary. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and drug addict. I'm just about ready to kill my cat Bob. Um, I just started filming a video and he got on the bed and started fucking with me. So anyways, Happy New Year's, you guys. It's as I make this video, it is the 4th of January, 2023. 6:25 in the evening in Austin, Texas. And so I made a video yesterday and then my phone died on me, and so I made like half the video and then my phone died. But I want to talk about a couple of things. I had a great meeting yesterday. I did not get to a meeting today. I went to the shooting range with my son and my youngest son, who's 23, and a lot of you guys know already my middle son Brandon, who was 27, passed away 3.5 months ago from an accidental fentanyl overdose, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then my oldest son, he's 29. He just had a little baby boy, and little baby boy is 4 months old and cute as hell. So I had bittersweet year in 2023. I had a grandson. I got sober about 7.5 months ago, almost 8 months ago, and on the 20th it'll be 8 months. And I had a grandson, and then right after I had my grandson, I lost my son to an accidental fentanyl overdose. I'm having a hard time with that word today. So I had a great meeting yesterday. We talked about, or we read out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we read about the jaywalker. It's in More About Alcoholism, and I'm the jaywalker for sure. And what the story of the jaywalker is, they talk about they compare the alcoholic to the jaywalker, right? My kind of alcoholic, because I've sworn drugs and alcohol off thousands of times in my life, and I've got great willpower, except for when it comes to, and I've shown throughout my life great discipline, getting up, working. I work no matter what. I get up, early no matter what. I've gone years of working out, and being in routines, but when it comes to drugs and alcohol, I swear it off, and I swear I'll never return to it, and I end up returning to it. So that's what this whole chapter is about, the people that swear it off, and they compare it to the jaywalker, to the guy who, I'll probably botch the story a little bit, but there's this guy who just loves jaywalking, right? And so he does his jaywalking routine and narrowly escapes getting mowed by a car, just completely mowed over by a car, but he escapes it, and he's like, wow, that was close, I could have gotten killed. Never doing that again, right? But he finds himself like a couple days later, jaywalking again, and this time he gets clipped by a car, breaks his leg, and he's in the hospital for a couple days, and he's laid up for a few months, and in that few months he reflects, this is dangerous, like, why am I doing this? This is insanity. I'm never doing that again. Gets his cast off, and he's jaywalking again. This time he gets hit by a fucking fire truck. Bam, breaks his back. Now he's got a lot of time to reflect. In the hospital for many days, and body cast, laid up fucking many days, and he's like, there's no fucking way I'll ever jaywalk again. This is insane. How many times is this gonna happen? And he gets that body cast off. Sure as shit, he runs across the street again. and he's killed. Now, it's insane. What they're trying to lay out is the behavior patterns that we exhibit are fucking insane. You know, a guy loses his marriage. A guy like me, I lost a company, my first company, my first marriage, and, all that stuff because of my drinking and cocaine use. And all of a sudden, hang on, I'm trying to scare Bob. Then all of a sudden, I swear it off, and I'm multiple times, and I'm right back on it. And you would think, like, the normal person looks at people like us and just goes, insanity, fucking insanity. And the definition of insanity is repeating the same behavior over and over, expecting a different result. And so they talk about this in the chapter, more about alcoholism. And they give a few different examples of real life situations that happened. They talk about a car salesman, and they talk about a guy who, was a hard drinker in his early 20s, and he swore it off, and he stopped, and he worked his whole career and retired at like 55 and started drinking again, and he was like fucking dead within, a couple years after multiple trips to the insane asylum, because in the 30s they didn't know what to do with us. They would just take us to the fucking psych ward, shoot us full of Thorazine, and we'd recover if we didn't have wet brain by then, and they'd set us off on our merry way, and we'd, a lot of us return within a few days to the same insane asylum. So, and we got to share about this chapter, and what occurred to me, and what hit me was extreme gratitude, because they repeat the insane asylum. That's what they would do with us. They didn't know what to do with us. We were fucking nuts, man. Before they knew what to do with alcoholics, before the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, before all the studies and everything on alcoholism, they would just lock us up. So I was thinking, look at what the program of Alcoholics Anonymous has done for the world, and it just, once it started, it just mushroomed and exploded, because there were so many alcoholics in society. And it's raised, first, by the time you're in an insane asylum, you've lost everything, and you're a complete gutter drunk. You can't even function at that point. When you've gotten that bad. So look at the low bottom, and look how AA has raised the bottoms, where we've got housewives and, career women and men that, they see that they've got a drinking problem, they get a drunk driving or something like that, or they total a car, and they get sober, because of this program. Look at the millions of lives that it's saved. And this was started by two drunks, a stockbroker and a doctor. And they wrote this program, they wrote the 12 steps, they wrote the book with the first 100 people that got sober in AA. And they wrote the traditions to keep the group alive. The 12 steps were written to keep the alcoholic alive, and the 12 traditions were written to keep the group alive. And it's survived. I think it started in 1935. So, we're going on 88 years, and I'm eternally grateful for this program. It's given a drunk like me multiple years of sobriety. you know. And I talk about how I had 7 years and then went out and relapsed, and then I had 10 years and relapsed, and then I had a year and relapsed. Now I've got 7.5 months, and I'm on fire for this program again. And each time I've learned something different about myself, and got to know me at a deeper level. Each relapse and each time that I've been sober. So, you know, I know my son was a jaywalker, and the one that passed away, he was put together like me. The other two, I would chalk them up as, they can drink harder and they can leave it too. I mean, I can't diagnose them as alcoholic. They should watch. I mean, they know me, and they know their brother. And I would say my middle son, he was a jaywalker, and he probably swore it off. I know he did. And he ended up, it got the best of him 3.5 months ago. Fentanyl. And I was also thinking about how the world has changed since 1935 and the drugs. And they weren't dealing with the drugs like they dealt with the drugs, like they deal with the drugs now in the rooms. The success rate was much higher back then, because now there's so much, there's the cocaine, the heroin, and all that stuff was around in the 30s, but not like it is now, and all the different opiates and the pills and the fentanyl. The fentanyl is the most dangerous drug out there, and that's what took my son out. Now, in the fentanyl, if you're doing fentanyl, you might understand this jaywalker thing. You might have sworn it off. If you might have sworn off cocaine, booze, whatever your drug of choice is, sworn it off a million times, and you find yourself back on it. Well, it's okay. There's hope. There is a solution, and you aren't going to like the solution. I could just tell you what I did, and I prayed like hell to a God that I really didn't understand that much, and I believed that there was a God, and I thought he just forgot about me or gave up on me because he had given me so many chances, and I felt like I had just blown him. But he didn't. It took what it took, and I'm sober today. And I got COVID, and I got 5 days under my belt, and after 5 days of being real sick, I woke up on the 4th, 5th, 6th day. I don't really remember, but I was like, I'm sober 5 days. I'm running with this. I am running with this. I am not drinking or using drugs anymore. Thank you, God. And I was so grateful that, because I couldn't get 5 days, I couldn't get a day. I could maybe get a day, but I couldn't rack up 2 and 3 days. The detox I was going through it was too heavy. I would shake violently and feel deathly ill. And I went through all that. I did that in that Motel 6 in El Paso, and I was probably detoxing with COVID. And I didn't feel great on the 5th day, but I felt like, hey, I can do this. And looking back on it, I was probably still pretty physically sick, because I would drive a couple hours. I was trying to get to California, and I'm about 12 hours away from my destination. Once I'm in El Paso, you got about another 12 hours, maybe 10, 12 hours. I'm not sure, but it's 10 or 12 hours. And, it probably took me 2 days more to get that 10 or 12 hours. It could have taken me 3 days. I don't remember. But I'd pull over, after a couple hours, I'd start doing the nod, just so tired. And I'd sleep and eat and sleep and eat and sleep for 20 minutes, sleep for 2 hours, whatever it took. And I knew I was going to be okay. And I started calling my old AA friends, and I got connected. And after a few weeks, I went to my first AA meeting. And I didn't have 30 days yet, I know that, because I raised my hand as a newcomer. And I didn't like that, but I did it. And I didn't share or start sharing until I was talking to my friends on a regular basis. I did start with a couple people from AA, old friends, and I was talking to them on a daily basis, sometimes 3 and 4 times a day. And when I got to Austin is when I got into meetings and started sharing my story. And at that time I had probably, I don't know, a month, 2 months, I'm not sure, I don't remember. And now they're sick of hearing from me. Now I know a lot of people in that meeting, and they know my story and I know theirs, and it's a great place. Spiritual Movement, 5:30 p.m. every day on Bolden Avenue, downtown Austin, called the Pink House. So yeah, so if you're fighting that fentanyl addiction, and maybe your buddies have hit you with Narcan a couple times, and you've sworn it off, and you know you're in danger, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you're playing around with fentanyl, it's just a matter of when. And if you're buying street drugs, they're just, I grew up doing street drugs. It's a different game. It's not the same game, and you got to accept that. It's not the same game. So you're either going to start doing pharmaceutical drugs, or you're going to die, or you're going to get sober, or you're going to go to jail. You don't have many options. There's not many options if you're a drug addict like I was. In today's world, your option is death, jail, or sober. Death, jail, sober. It's up to you. It's up to you. But there is hope. And what I did, I started going to meetings. I started sharing my story. I started reading the book a lot. I've got my book sitting right over there. I started praying. And I don't have it all worked out, this whole God thing and everything, but He's got me worked out. He's got me sober. Just doing those prayers, I'm not walking on water, and I don't feel some big, huge fucking, spiritual awakening, but I've had a spiritual awakening. People tell me you're a different man. My dad tells me all the time. After about 4 months of sobriety, my son hadn't passed away yet. So I was about 4 months, maybe 3.5 months sober. I went into a restaurant where I ate every day for like 3 years. I ate breakfast every single day, sometimes lunch, and sometimes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was a block away from my office, and I ate there at least once a day for 3 years. I knew all the waitresses and the hostess. And after 3 months of sobriety, I was living in Austin. I went back to see a friend in Houston. I'm like, I got to go eat at this place. Do you know they didn't recognize me when I walked in the door? These are people that saw me every day for 3 years. They looked and looked, and this lady that I knew very well, and she's like, oh my God, it's you. So and I didn't know I looked any different. I mean, I was hoping, because I was working out every day, maybe I got a little bit buffed out, but how buffed out can you get in 3 months? I wasn't on roids or anything. I was just, it wasn't the buffness that they were looking at. It wasn't the physique. It was the eyes and the whole aura, the way I carried myself, the way I carried myself, the way I looked, bright-eyed, I'm not real bright-eyed right now, but I've been up since 3:30 this morning. So, you know, it's a really simple program, and it works miracles. The other thing is, I want to say, I've started this. I took a hit when my son went down, and my whole routine got shit canned. And I started smoking again, and I started comfort eating, and the gym was the gym's been hit and miss, maybe once a week, and I've mentioned my struggles with the gym, and this is day 2. I turned over my New Year's resolution, and got up at 3:50 this morning. Got up at 3:50 yesterday. I've been in the gym both days. I'm not hitting it like a full-blown fucking alky would, like bench pressing, fucking 800 pounds and going at it, like a fucking madman, like an obsessive madman. Like I'm an all or nothing. I'm balls to the wall or zero. I'm full throttle or no throttle. I've been that way my whole life. And I'm 56 years old, and I want to approach my sobriety and life differently. I'm sick of living that way. I'm sick of living full throttle, no throttle. Full throttle for days and then out of gas for days. Burned out. I play hard. Everything I do is obsessive. And it gets so tiring. And so my approach to the gym was, all right, for the first week or 2, all I'm doing is dips, pull-ups, crunches. Dips, pull-ups, crunches. So that works the whole frame. And then I'll work some legs in when I feel good. And then I'll start working some cardio in. And then I'll start going on to some of the machines after. But I'm going to stick with, for like a few months, I'm going to stick with dips, pull-ups, crunches, and then add to that. Because that way I'm hitting the whole frame and working on the core a little bit. And I'm going to do some cardio a couple days a week and start getting my health back. I've went from 2.5 to 3 packs a day. The last couple days has been less than a pack a day. So I've cut that way back. And instead of like going, cigarettes are tough. You could go, you probably should go cold turkey, but I'm tapering down so it's not such a dramatic jolt on the body, all this shit. And then I'm going to get on the nicotine pouches and just taper down. I'm going to get off the cigarettes. I've given myself till the 1st of February to be completely off the cigarettes and on the nicotine pouches. And then I'll give myself a time to be on the nicotine pouches. But the main thing is get off the fucking cigarettes. And they're killing me. So I think that's a really balanced way to approach things. I've never had anything balanced in my life. It's all or nothing. And I'm sick of living that way. So I'm starting to approach everything in my life that way. So it's just a more peaceful way to live. That it keeps that disturbance calmed, quiet. Keeps this hamster wheel quiet. So that's it, guys. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Happy New Year. Subscribe, please, if you've made it this far. Probably most people don't, but 24 minutes, 9 seconds, so I'm going to wrap it up. But subscribe, please. And if you're having a problem with drugs and alcohol, just know there's a solution. Shoot me a message. You can even email me, and we can keep it, just between us, at the number 5-day God Challenge at gmail.com. 5-day God Challenge at gmail.com.